Over the last few days, a massive controversy has opened up inside Star Wars regarding a writer for the franchise, someone who has appeared on Star Wars Celebration panels. Her name is Anne Meet You at the Cemetery Gates Cartery. No, I'm not making that up. That's actually the name that she lists for herself on her very public and very scandalous Instagram posts. They're abrasive, they're divisive, and some are saying that she may be the entire inspiration for the modern version of the Night Sisters, the witches of Star Wars. Now, why does this person matter, and why should you care about what she says online? Well, she's Dave Filoni's wife, and she has strong and dark opinions. Folks, we've got a panel today of people who agree and disagree to find out what they have to say about the future of Star Wars and whether or not this lady, married to Dave Filoni, may signal that Dave is not interested in ever doing away with the sequel trilogy. Let's dive into the robust debate right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to get into another video of excellence today here on the WDW Pro channel. Just know that as we do, the panel that was brought together late last night to discuss this breaking news was not privy to some of the things you're seeing on the screen now. We had even more stuff that came to us very late into the night, some might say very early into the morning, so please consider this as you listen to the rest of the conversation. I also highly recommend that you listen to the conversation in full, as if you listen to just one part of the conversation, you're going to get one perspective, but we have people who agree and disagree vehemently in a robust but yet polite manner on all of this. Let's dive into this very tricky conversation about the belief systems undergirding perhaps the future of Star Wars. She has had a significant impact on the Star Wars universe. She's written stories, she's been on Star Wars Celebration panels. Yes, she even has a creature inside the Star Wars canon, which is named after her. We are talking about someone who you may know as Dave Filoni's wife, but her name is Anne Cartery, and yes, we will be talking about her indeed, because things have come out now which do have an impact on Star Wars at large, and possibly tell us why exactly the words Savior and Dave Filoni should not go together, and definitely why, folks, if you think that he's going to come in and retcon the sequel trilogy, think again hard about it. We have our good friends from Echo Based Network, Coach and Nick aboard, Lauren from That Park Place, and Valiant Renegade from Valiant Renegade. All right, well, let's dive in right off the bat, gentlemen, and we'll see where this goes. First of all, we want to show people out there that we are not being condescending towards someone who is unconnected with Star Wars, just a victim of being married to one Dave Filoni. Oh no. This out of the wonderful Wikipedia. It says Anne Cartery is an American author and the wife of executive producer at Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni. Goes on to talk about how much she loved Star Wars, but if you go down here, you'll see that she, on April 16, 2020, StarWars.com announced Cartery's involvement in the Clone Wars. Stories of Light and Dark, an anthology book consisting of 11 short stories based on the era of the Clone Wars. She wrote the 11th and final story, Bug. And, well, she's been quite the bugaboo lately for Dave Filoni and for Lucasfilm and Star Wars, although they probably love this sort of thing. This is the kind of individual we are talking about who is married to Dave Filoni, who has significant influence over Star Wars. You folks read the mug yourself. We shall not, but definitely not the kind of message that you would think would come from someone married to a person who might retcon a sequel trilogy, for example, or use the world between worlds to do such a thing. And for those of you who wonder how much she has participated in Star Wars Celebrations, by the way, she's been on panels, but day 4 of Star Wars Celebration, or as I like to call it, the day where I recycle day 1's pants by spritzing the crotchetal region with perfume and calling it good. And she says, day 4, public service announcement to temper your expectations if we run into each other. Now, gentlemen, we will dive into what is even, I mean, far, far worse than this, but I just wanted to start off, this woman who is married to Dave Filoni, who has been an integral part of Star Wars, she just comes across to me as an individual who is abrasive and kind of gross. It's kind of gross out.
Yeah. Oh, God. Look, spritzing the crotch of Star Wars, I think, is one of the most unintentionally brilliant commentaries on the state of Disney and Lucasfilm that I've ever seen. And this woman brings it home. And I'm going to be very, or at least try to be, as judicious as possible with my language on this video today. And if you will indulge me, if you don't mind, as I mentioned earlier on my live stream tonight, I will be covering this in far more candid language. And by that, I mean no holds barred. On Twitter later this week, with a very good friend of mine, Radix Verum, Christina, we will be covering this in no uncertain and unbridled language. But this is, wow. This is a problem. And I think as we start this video, I think the audience out there needs to understand the gravity of this. As people tend to
You think that'll do it, Valiant? You think that'll do it?
Yeah, I mean, do we need to talk about the spouses and the family of people involved? Yes. When it's germane, yes. This is not, as I stated earlier on the live stream tonight, this is not like the weirdos that dragged politicians' children into conversations in the past 3 to 4 years here in the zeitgeist of American politics. This is a person, a woman who has, as you correctly pointed out in the intro, a very hefty degree of influence on Star Wars, on Disney Star Wars as we see it. A woman who fancies herself, according to her Instagram posts, by all accounts, a champion of
the Dark Lord himself.
The darkness. And she is married to Dave Filoni. And obviously has, as I said earlier, if you guys thought out there that Dave Filoni's biggest problem in the female genre was Kathleen Kennedy, hold your butts, as Sam Jackson said in Jurassic Park, because you ain't seen nothing yet. His wife is 1,000 times worse.
Well, it says here in the description, and these are her Instagram posts, folks. She put this out into the public.
Yep.
She's a public figure. She has created Star Wars material. She's been on Star Wars panels. She has quite the following, and she puts this out there. So just like I would not be mad for someone posting my Twitter/X tweets/posts on their videos, I don't care. I put those out there because I believe in them. I can only assume she feels the same. She says, was looking through some old photos and thought now was as good a time as any to remind everyone of my picture-perfect recreation of the devil in the background of Bogarose, Dante, and Virgil in hell, which is obviously the most important part of the painting. Pardon my butchering of the French language. Usually I'm pretty good.
Bougereau. Yeah, no, and look, and to her point, as a huge fan, I will tell you myself, I'm a huge literary fan of Dante Alighieri, the Inferno, the Purgatory, and the Paradiso. I mean, I look, I get where she's coming from, but when you compound this with everything else that she's posted on Instagram and yes, right here, this paints a pattern of, this is not a, this is going to sound bizarre, I have a fascination with this brand of culture. I have a fascination with the historical Catholicism of demonic lore, right? I grew up as a Catholic kid in New Orleans, the most Catholic city in the country, arguably. I love this kind of stuff from a history standpoint, and I'm saying this because I want to make this clear. This individual that you see on the screen right now, speaking as a New Orleans Catholic boy, okay? Odin out there, OMB, Odin Man Reviews out there, he gets what I'm coming from. He and I are high school brothers from New Orleans. This is a horse of a different color. This is an individual who is fascinated by the occult as a matter of, by my read, belief. Like, not historical, not as a religious perspective in terms of godliness. This is an individual who is devout and steeped in this as a matter of what the hell. No pun intended. I don't know where to go here, and this is Dave Filoni's wife.
Well, where I would like for us to go, gentlemen, let me hand it over to EBN first on this, or second, I suppose, since Valiant, you took the first round on it, and then we'll get Lauren after that. But, everybody's free to have their own beliefs, and I can find some beliefs repugnant, right? I would say that this individual, for the vast majority of people out there, holds repugnant beliefs. Where I think that this becomes newsworthy for us to cover and do analysis is, there's been quite a bit of hope put into Dave Filoni by those who, based on what we've seen now, their hope was misguided, misplaced, but there was hope that Dave Filoni was the kind of person who could fix what happened in the sequel trilogy. I'm looking at this relationship that he has. I'm looking at the fact that she is significantly part of Star Wars, and we'll examine that more in just a moment, folks. I don't get the sense that Dave Filoni is either working for Kathleen Kennedy or that he is in a relationship with this woman and thereby is in a position to fix the sequel trilogy. It seems to me that the values that are held here are not anywhere close to what the people who dislike the sequel trilogy hold. Guys, take it away.
Nick, you're up.
So two things. There was a character created after her, right? Pro?
Yes,
named after her.
Yes.
Named
the
after her.
Convours.
Yeah, and that was the owl
Yes.
that's in the World Between Worlds, right?
Morai.
Well, the owl is used in a lot of Luciferianism and occult stuff.
Right.
Dave
And Dave Filoni
used
created this creature and named it after his wife.
Yeah, I did a whole video on Morai, and now I'm like, I feel terrible because I'm learning, like, this is what, I had no clue this is where the inspiration came from, and this is freaky. Sorry.
And by the way, Nick, what I'm showing right now while you're discussing this, apparently she goes out and takes photos of tombstones and
Weird.
posts these on her Instagram. Yeah, but continue on, please.
Weird. But cultists like to use the owl as one of their symbols because they can use the things that they can see things that the average person from the public cannot. Like occult members are enlightened to the dark inner workings of secret societies and stuff. Everybody's probably heard of the Bohemian Club, the rich person's, cultist organization that worships the owl and that sort of thing, and birds and four-legged beasts and the dollar bill. Actually, if you look at a dollar bill and look in the upper right hand corner to the left of the one on the little border part, there's a little miniature owl sitting there on the dollar bill. Which a lot of the stuff in government, the design of money and the buildings and stuff all come from occult backgrounds and that sort of thing. But it reminds me of a verse also in, for anybody that reads the Bible out there, Romans 3:22-23, that talks about professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible men, into birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. This is all occult stuff, that's very heavy in Luciferianism, all that sort of stuff, a lot of the secret societies. So I find it really weird that if she's into all this and he's married to her, he has to either, one, be accepting of that, or two, have the same beliefs that,
And
that she
let's
holds.
define that too, Nick. There are different branches of this type of belief system. So some of the people who hold these beliefs and hold these titles, they do it as sort of a parody or mockery of theists. You have others who actually they really are, worshiping evil itself.
Yeah.
And those people are, well, they're frightening.
Well, her shirt,
yeah.
her shirt that you showed earlier, the picture of shirt, I mean, that's evil in itself right there, in my opinion. Not to get into the political space, because I know a lot of people have a lot of different beliefs out there on that subject. In my viewpoint, I look at as and evil. So the fact that she has that on, and then the cup, I mean, people will joke around or do stuff like that. I would never joke around with material like that. So the fact that this is what Filoni goes home to every night and decided to marry makes me question everything about him as a human being.
Well, and
she's in his ear.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
this is, yeah. I mean,
Well,
we joke about, the Force is female from Kathleen Kennedy, but I can't stress enough that Dave Filoni, people ask, why is he doing X, Y, Z? Why is he not changing course? Because Kathleen Kennedy isn't the only toxic female in his ear. The toxic femininity, the toxic female in his ear the most is the one he goes home to, pushing him into the trash. There you go, right there.
I mean, he definitely talks to his wife more than KK. I'm sure of it, so
those women are virtually interchangeable. I tell you.
I do want to come back to the shirt she was wearing. I just want to say, folks out there, you may have a number of different viewpoints regarding pregnancy and moment of life and the idea of the soul and all those sorts of things. I think what we can all agree on, though, is that, well, at least 99% of us can agree that there are times when that act is definitely wrong. And for some people, it's always wrong. For other people, they would say that, it's wrong in certain cases. And it is a very, very rare individual that you will come across who will say that that is never wrong and that it is always healthcare.
Yeah.
Her shirt is a universal statement in a particular direction. And we're not going to discuss some of the most disgusting ways that procedure can occur. But suffice to say that I think she is way out there on many things, many things. Coach, I want to go to you. The big concern I have here, of course, to reiterate, is that if Dave Filoni shares in her beliefs whatsoever, I don't see how he can return us to the idea of Star Wars. In fact, I don't see why he would even want to, because her beliefs are antithetical to Star Wars. I mean, she's like a Sith.
Sure, you want me to do this?
You broke. You do it.
So, look, to be honest, it's alarming seeing it all, but I am not ready to say she is worshiping that. I need more evidence than what we're getting.
Right. You think she's being satirical?
I mean, look. So she was born in 1974. She lived through the 80s. Maybe she listened to Dio. Maybe it's just, maybe she was a maiden.
She needed to listen to more Devo.
I love Dio too, but I mean, like, look, I'm not. Look, she has ruled this. I just.
Well, I'm telling my opinion, and what I'm saying is, I need more evidence than her holding a coffee mug and having a picture of her next to Dante's Inferno. She probably
that she painted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. I didn't know that. No one told us that. But here's what I know. She's an edgy, trashy leftist. That's what I know. Is she worshiping Lucifer? I have no idea. Now, what does that mean for Star Wars? Not good. No doubt about it, because she's just somebody else that falls right in line with the rest of their thinking. So to that point, I'm totally with you. But to say that Dave Filoni's wife is a worshiper of such and such, I can't go there. I need more evidence to say that. Look, Nick is my best friend, but I've seen Nick do the rock and roll thing. And there are people who would tell you that's the devil's horns, that's satanic. Don't do that. So I just need more evidence with that. Now,
bring it back to Star Wars, though. I mean, people are free to have whatever belief they want.
Sure.
We have people of all varieties who watch this channel, and we're not trying to, demand that people have beliefs similar to anybody on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the impact of being married to someone such as this, and by the way, someone who has been impactful for Star Wars and its canon,
yeah.
Do you think that this actually has any kind of influence over whether or not Dave Filoni can get the job done, making Star Wars better?
Influence over whether Filoni can get the job done. So
can he produce? Okay, so you've seen Ahsoka. Ahsoka's not good.
So, but my point that I'm trying to make is just to push back a little.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when they got married, but Clone Wars season 7 was pretty dang good.
I'll go with that.
Yeah,
some of Clone Wars season 7 was pretty darn good.
Okay, all right. Well, all right.
Clone Wars, the middle episodes.
Clone Wars seasons 3 through 6.
Yeah, the girl power episodes, to be kind. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So let's take a look then. And Coach, your point is necessary. I think it's important and needed because we need people to be the counter voice and to provide the empathy and sympathy for those that we might accidentally
I want
malign.
to be there with you. I really do. But I need more.
I appreciate you being very careful on this, and more power to you. And I'm asking the questions here. I'm not, we're just trying to navigate through what does this mean.
Sure.
And so let's take one more look at the kind of influence that she has had. This out of Looper, the Mandalorian's bird-like creature, the Convor explained. This talked about Nick talked about this earlier. Holly Posuo, I guess on that one, was the author on this. And if we go down to the bottom, it says Dave Filoni, executive producer of Star Wars Rebels, told IGN in 2016 that convorees are far more than just random cute creatures flying around. In some ways, I could say that it's a messenger. It's an observer, Filoni describes the bird. It is definitely something, and I would rather have fans debate, but I would suggest that whatever that thing is an avatar of has actually appeared in the animated Star Wars universe before, so decrypt from there. Mysterious. As for where the surprisingly noble convorees got their name, the answer is not quite as mysterious. However, it's pretty endearing. Filoni named the species after his wife, Anne Cartery. And I just, I do find it fascinating that of all the creatures that he could have named after her, it's the owl-like creature, the spirit creature. But just throwing that out, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence here. A lot of anecdotal stuff. Yeah. Lauren,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Coach. No, Coach.
Well, owls were mentioned like 7 or 8 different times throughout the Old Testament, always as dirty birds. So to that effect,
like the Falcons in Atlanta.
When I see a bird poop on my windshield, I always blame it on an owl. I listen, in biology class, we had to dissect a pellet, from an owl, and it wasn't pretty. That's all I'm saying. Lauren, you've been sitting there quiet. I have no idea what you're going to say about all of this. What do you think?
I actually have a couple of different ways I want to take this. And the first is that I don't know anything about this woman's beliefs. I don't know her. I'm not fond of the idea of casting aspersions on people's character. What I can see from what she's put out there, I think there's a certain type of individual who craves to put provocative statements and things out there for attention. And these are people that are normally looking to provoke a fight. And that to me seems to be what we're seeing here in all of these various posts. And so you kind of get an idea of what type of reaction she's hoping to entice, both from those people who would support her and those people that are against her. my opinion is that you know these type of people. You have them in your life. They're the people that are constantly oversharing on Facebook or whatever social media platform that you have, sharing every little detail of the drama in their lives. That's just what it is, and it speaks to a certain kind of immaturity of mind. Now, you could say that there are people that would probably say the same about us. There's going to be people that are fans of what's currently going on in Star Wars that would say that we are doing clickbaity titles and things to stir up drama, and so the edge can cut both ways.
Mhm.
In this case, though, I don't want to go after the woman herself. I don't know her. I think that there's probably a high likelihood that she does have some influence on Filoni. I've been of the opinion for quite some time that the only way Filoni is going to fix what's wrong with Star Wars is if he actually thinks there's something wrong with it. And he's given me no indication that he believes that. Now, to push back, or maybe not push back, that's the wrong word, going into Star Wars lore here, um, there's another direction that you can pull owls from, and it kind of ties a little bit into what they're doing with the Night Sisters, and that is on the video where they were introduced in Ahsoka. I had said that they were either pulling from Greek or Norse mythology. I was actually thinking of the Norse Norn, but the Greek version would be the Fates, and they are essentially filling the same role. Owls are also prominent in Greek mythology, and usually we're referring to wisdom. So if I were Dave Filoni and were of the type of bent that I think that he and his wife probably are, the way that I would be folding this into storytelling also dovetails a little bit with the real origin of the Night Sisters, which was Dave Wolverton's novel, The Courtship of Princess Leia. The Night Sisters were exiled on Dathomir in the novel. Now, this new version is saying that they originated outside the galaxy and that they ended up coming to the mainline Star Wars galaxy. But even then, they were somewhat exiled on Dathomir. They did have the ability to move throughout space. They weren't quarantined on that world, but they sort of deliberately holed up there and had male Night Brothers as their inferiors. It was a matriarchal society. And so my guess is that this is, again, sort of a storytelling trope where the Night Sisters are going to be against the patriarchy. They see themselves as oppressed. They have a different version of using the Force than, say, the traditional Sith had. The Jedi are referred to as wizards. The witches are witches. Now, what I think is interesting about this is that one way that they could style this is that if the Night Sisters are being brought into canon more fully, they're going to be a new type of antagonist. You have Ahsoka bearing an owl avatar, which is Mirai, which is the avatar of the daughter from the gods and Mortis. Maybe her character arc that they're trying to end on a cliffhanger is maybe she becomes sympathetic in some way with the Night Sisters. Maybe she becomes a new white witch. I don't know. It's just a way that they could take that. So if they wanted to push that kind of storytelling that way, I could see how there's a window where they could do that.
Very, very interesting, Lauren, and thank you for taking that in a direction that we might not have otherwise went without you on the panel. Fantastic analysis there. Gentlemen, I think the place to wrap up is, I think we've had a fair conversation. I think that we have analyzed the issues of what she has posted. She's not a third-party individual completely divorced from Star Wars. She's been an active participant in Star Wars. She's appeared on panels. She's written stories. She has characters named after her in canon. And she's married, of course, to Dave Filoni. But the marriage to him is only one part of all of this. We have people on the panel who think that what she has posted is vile and likely indicates that Dave Filoni, being in relationship with her, the highest relationship one would suspect in life, is an indicator that Dave Filoni may share some of those values and may move Star Wars in a direction that others would not agree with. At the same time, we have guys on the panel who feel that there's not enough here, that we need to give grace whenever possible, even if this individual might not give the same grace back to us. And of course, Lauren, you've explained how this the religious backgrounds and mythologies might actually impact Star Wars. I don't want to presume, though, that that we have concluded the conversation. I do want to say, gentlemen on the panel, if there's anything else you've thought of or you'd like to add right now, I want to make that available to you. So, final thoughts from you guys on this topic.
I just want to say that I find it interesting, all this stuff about her, and then the occult-like symbolism tied to what Filoni's doing in Star Wars. I find that interesting.
I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I want to read the tea leaves as clearly as possible, and just measure them against the public perception of what Hollywood has become. This is a problem. Bar none, this is a problem. I'm not trying to say that Dave Filoni himself is a devil worshiper, just to be clear, right? But my point here is that his wife obviously is disturbed as an individual. This goes beyond the pale of just making some random comments, in my personal opinion, and that given what we know about Dave Filoni, he is heavily influenced in his life by the women around him. And this just it's an interesting talking point to see, what is the biggest influences in his life and what's going on with Star Wars. I think it's worthy of conversation, and that's all.
Any other thoughts before we wrap up today, gentlemen? All right. Well, it seems as if we have all spoken our minds. No one has been held back. No one has been told you can't say anything other than profanities, of course. And so we have tried, folks, to do this in a fair, appropriate, kind, and thoughtful manner. This is all over the web out there. People are talking about it. You deserve us to analyze it. That is what we do when we endeavor to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. From my perspective, since it would be unfair for me to sit as just some sort of distanced moderator, I'll say
Overlord.
that's right. From the center of no. What I would say, folks, is that George Lucas leaned heavily into religious and mythological beliefs from all over the world. He was keenly aware of the idea of light versus dark. He was keenly aware of the idea of virtue. These are key components to Star Wars. The entire original trilogy circles around what it is to be virtuous. Luke Skywalker endeavors to be virtuous, but he doesn't know the sacrifice it will take. He seeks to find virtue in his father, despite him being the most despicable and unvirtuous person in the galaxy. And because he does so, he finds that virtue. What we are hoping is that if Star Wars is to continue and have any influence over the next generations, that someone like Dave Filoni will also consider virtue and what it is, and if his wife reflects his own values, well, we hope that they will reconsider either being satirical of those who have beliefs in the Almighty or a greater thing beyond us or the divine, or if indeed this goes beyond even that and it is actual reverence for darkness itself. Well, all I can say is I guess the Sith are going to win, and maybe that's how that's been happening so far in Star Wars.
Yeah,
it does feel like it all is coming full circle. We get now how it is that a Palpatine won in the end.
All right, and you bring up a good point, because George Lucas's Star Wars, Yoda is actually a summoned demon in the occult. Is where that actually comes from.
For any of you Yoda fans out there, we apologize for that revelation. All right, folks, it's a wrap for today, and this is going to be one that many of you out there are going to have strong opinions about. I also am fully aware that some who watch this video will have tuned in for only the first 5 minutes, and they're going to have a disjointed opinion about what was said here versus if they watched the entire thing. But regardless, drop a comment down below and let us know what you think about all of this and what does it mean for Star Wars. As you put these comments down, consider the degree to which we have been cautious and careful in this video, and please use that same degree when you are dropping the comment. Be as kind as you possibly can be. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you do indeedly doodly stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Folks, we've got far more stuff coming out about Star Wars, including Ahsoka having just won some awards for female empowerment. What does it mean? And when will we get to the point where Star Wars is celebrating men as well? Once again, well, we'll find out. We'll see you at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun, and go subscribe to every guest on this panel.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatpartplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?